What's up, guys, and welcome back to Beyond the Void Horror Podcast. My name is Alex, and today we're going to do episode 4 of the Creepshow series on Shudder. Welcome back, guys, and thanks for coming again. I've been enjoying doing these with you, and I'm going to continue to do it. Apparently, there's only 6 episodes in total. I originally thought there was 10, and I guess they changed that somehow. Basically, from here, it's going to be spoiler review of these episodes, just to make sure that you know that going forward. So the first segment in this episode is actually called The Companion, and Matt Venn, I believe I'm pronouncing his name correctly, who is the director of Mirrors 2, White Noise 2, and also Fright Night 2 from 2013, adapted a story by Joe Lansdale. Now, if you're not familiar with Joe Lansdale, he's actually written numerous novels. He's done comic books, short story collections, Batman, the animated series stuff. And of course, one of the big ones that you may remember is a little story about Elvis and John F. Kennedy in an old person's home fighting a mummy. Sound familiar? That's because it's Bubba Hotep. He did a novella on that. Of course, Don Coscarelli turned that into a movie with Bruce Campbell. Some people are on the fence with it, but a lot of people enjoyed it. Now, the companion segment was also directed by David Bruckner, who we always constantly talk about on this show, apparently. He's done other episodes here that we've talked about in the past. He's the guy that did The Ritual and The Signal. But this story is about a boy named Harold who is essentially getting bullied by Billy. Of course, things get worse, and they are, of course, thrown into a situation where Harold is getting chased down by the bully who's previously beaten him up. Harold runs to a nearby old abandoned farm that was also a grape vineyard, I'm assuming, stumbles upon a scarecrow with a cane jabbed through its chest. Out of curiosity, or maybe even just as a weapon to defend himself against the bully Billy. And of course, this sets forth a creature of scarecrow proportions coming after poor old Harold. Sees the scarecrow outside the window trying to bust in through this abandoned farmhouse's door, and as he's trying to run away from this thing, he breaks through the floor and discovers a dead man with a shotgun who had basically shot himself in the face. There's a note. It says, "Hey, I resurrected this fucking thing, and I feel kind of bad about it because he killed this girl." But it's kind of cool. It's just funny that he falls and reads that letter, and you see this like stump of a face from the shotgun blast. And then it goes into the story of this old farmer who lost his wife and became so lonely that he created a companion. And this companion, after putting a embroidery heart on its chest and vines for arms and hay for thickness and bones from animals, like, what kind of companion are you trying to make there, first of all? I don't know if I want to snuggle up next to a friend who had bones all hanging out. It seems kind of creepy. Maybe that's just me. I don't know. But it tells the story that he had to kill it because it kills a small girl. And that was a pretty cool scene, actually. You normally don't see short stories, movies, or whatever kill kids very often. It's very no territory for a lot of people, but in this one they didn't hold back. It also drives home the point pretty quickly that this thing is not to be trusted. And of course, Billy finds out that this thing isn't necessarily out to kill him, even though it grabs his leg. As soon as he grabs the cane, it thinks it's his master. So he jabs it into its heart again to kill it, basically put it to sleep. Not kill it, I guess. Decides to sew his bully in his house to his bed, and when he wakes up, the creature kills him. Now, this story in particular, I enjoyed it. It definitely feels kind of like a classic sort of Creepshow sort of tale of revenge. Bad people get punished for doing dumb shit. I mean, I don't know if I would send a creature to go kill people, but you know, these are the kind of stories that make you think about that kind of thing, which is always kind of great. This one was a good one. I didn't dislike it or anything. I didn't get any hearty laughs, but it was kind of cool looking at the creature with all of his vines and stuff trying to come after the kid, which I thought was pretty cool. The ending of that one was pretty different than I expected, because when you're looking at him sewing, you're thinking, oh, he's going to create his own. You think he puts the the creature to sleep, the scarecrow monster, grab his own and make his own. I'm like, I don't know if that's gonna work, man. You don't seem that lonely. You got some friends and shit. But anyway, you find out it's Billy sewn to the bed. So that was a kind of a nice little twist, I thought, for the end. And of course, you see the scarecrow coming after him and putting his fucking vines in his mouth and making him go bye-bye. I'd say the second segment, though, I was probably a little bit more fond of. Lydia Laynes Better Half. That one was actually really tense. It's a story by Greg Nicotero and John Harrison. So, of course, we've talked about Nicotero before. He's the guy who's basically making this show happen. And he's also working with John Harrison, who is from Tales from the Dark Side movie, TV show, even a couple episodes of Tales from the Crypt. And he did Book of Blood. Now, supposedly, this is a nod to Creepshow 2 movie, the segment called The Hitchhiker, where lady hits a hitchhiker and runs him over and he won't stop appearing. So it's kind of like those poor decision choices that they make. One of the actresses in the show actually said, Tricia Helfer, who is in the show, she's the number 6 from Battlestar Galactica, if you remember. It also has director Roxanne Benjamin, who is no stranger to short stories or directing them. She's actually done segments in Southbound and also in XX, plus she's a producer. Also has, other than starring Tricia Helfer, you also have Danielle Lynn, who has been in the show The Duff, and she was also in a new show on Netflix last year called Nappily Ever After. Now, the story on this one is a bit of a more of a revenge sort of you did the wrong kind of thing again tale, which is a pretty classical way to do a Creepshow story, any of these short stories really. The story surrounds a woman who is in control of this big company, and she is sit down with 2 of her executives who are basically going to be fulfilling her position and kind of moving on and taking over the company essentially. Now, she is a powerful woman, and you find out very quickly that she offers it to the guy instead of the girl. And the girl, you find out, of course, later, is actually her lover. She does this in a move to spend more time with this girl, supposedly, although there's, obviously selfish intentions there because maybe the girl didn't want to go elope with you after all. She had her own aspirations and goals that she wanted to do, and she felt like she got gypped out of it. And they lead into sort of a lover's quarrel, and one thing leads to another, and they get a little physical, and Tricia Helfer's character grabs Danielle Lynn's arm, and she pulls away, falls over the couch, and lands her head, BAM! On a fucking award that she won for Power Woman of the Year, which is kind of ironic considering they're talking about powerful women in this whole argument that they're having. So instead of calling the authorities and saying an accident happened, she believes that they won't believe her and that she killed her off. I kept thinking in this situation, like, really? But, logic doesn't need to play part into these stories. It wouldn't be Creepshow if it did. It'd be rather boring. She'd be calling the police. End of episode. Not interesting. But anyway, so in what she decides to do is not only just take her and put her in a chair, but also grab the fucking thing that stabbed her in the back of the head. I would never touch that. I don't know. Why would you try to pull it out of her head? That thing is like this long. It's clearly fucked up her head pretty bad. She's not going to recover from this. Or does she? She takes her in a chair, leads her down the hallway, tries to get her down the elevator. There's all these obstacles in the way, which really added to a lot of the tension, I think, in this short. I thought it was a fun idea, and it definitely made me feel uncomfortable. She finally makes it to the elevator and notices that the girl's like moving, and she's kind of freaked out by it. She shuts her eye, keep opening, shuts them again, keep opening. And then, of course, she starts moving and stuff. Very slow, which is kind of creepy. Gets pretty surreal here at one point in time. And it made me kind of laugh because they're stuck in the elevator because there's an earthquake that happens and she gets locked into the elevator. So I'm like, how the fuck is she going to get out of this situation? If she's stuck in the elevator, was she going to push her body over the side and then it smacks down on the elevator or something? I don't know. It seems really weird. But she tries to escape, trying to lift the hatch, falls, gets hurt. Wakes up, sees the girl staring at her again after she closed her eyes, and then tilts her head forward and little fucking trophy comes right on out of her little head. Then she goes, grabs her head and looks, and a fucking hand comes out, like grabbing her face, like, which I thought was kind of cool. Like, I like that surrealistic kind of thing because you would never expect a hand to come out. And of course, she tries to escape. She opens the door. There's about this much space for her to like get through. She tries to shimmy through. And as she's about to escape, yoink, she gets grabbed by the executive who had it out for her. And it's all because she probably should have just called the cops. But no, she didn't. I thought it was really tense. I was like, no! Like, that's a fear of mine. Like, anytime I'm watching a movie, I don't know about you guys, but like, whenever I'm watching a movie and there's like a scene where they're like about to get out through the elevator and they're trying to get everybody out, and then there's always that last person, it's like, no, don't go! Like, if you do, like, I always imagine someone jumping midair and then shunk! But anyway, they find her head in the elevator. The people who are going to rescue her find the head of her in the lap of the woman who was dead and killed her. Smiling, of course, which I thought was pretty great. This is my favorite of the two segments. I don't think these are bad at all. I would probably give this episode probably like a 7, maybe a 7.5. I don't know. It's very tough for me on this one. I wasn't overly enthusiastic about this episode as I have been with other ones, but I still think it's really good. I'm also kind of glad that these are being bled out one a week. Usually, I like to just binge like everybody else, but there's something to be said about waiting a week, I think, and kind of digesting it a little bit. It kind of extends that feeling and those thoughts that you might have. When you mash that many episodes together, it's just like in and out your head, like instantly. So thanks, Shudder, I guess. I know it's a marketing move that they're doing to try to, make sure that they get more people into their subscriptions, but I like it. I'm enjoying it. What do you guys think? Did you enjoy this episode? Was the second segment, Lydia Laynes Better Half, one of your favorite ones? Thought the ironic kind of name of that was pretty cool too, by the way, her better half. Would love to hear what you think down in the comments. If you haven't subscribed or been a part of this show before, welcome. Thank you so much. I hope that you will subscribe and come back and visit. We do all kinds of things every week, including a podcast every Monday. Thank you so much for coming by, and as always, long live the void.